For the last 10 years, teams from as far afield as France, Germany, Finland and Brazil have travelled to the farthest corners of the earth to compete in the ultimate adventure race, the Raid Gauloise. In mixed-sex teams of 5, competitors must cover nearly 24 marathons back-to-back over some of the most unforgiving terrain on the planet. They can use nothing but physical and mental strength. In these adventures, there's no room for motorised transport. Each raider must go beyond what can be reasonably expected of any human being. Lack of sleep, limited food and water, and extreme pain. Their goal? To be the first to scale the mountains, cross the rivers, and find the best route from the start to the finish. This year, Raid Gauloise is coming at you from the house of Ho Chi Minh, rocking Hanoi to the rafters, big it up for Vietnam. Arriving from all corners of the globe, the participants of the Raid Gauloise ride into town to a rapturous welcome from the local boy bands of Lao Cai region. And it's all because of Alain Gaimard. His life has been dedicated to perfecting the Raid Gauloise, the ultimate global adventure race that mixes action with adventure, mashes danger with daring. Beautiful Vietnam is the venue, with some 250 competitors gathering from as far afield as New Zealand, America, Canada and Malaysia to take part. And this is the man who created the original and best adventure race, taking people to the furthest and most beautiful parts of the planet.
I'm Alain Gaimard, and I'm a mountain guide. I'm in Hanoi preparing an expedition, which is called the Raid Gauloise. The Raid Gauloise was the first big adventure, following a course through the elements non-stop for sport without using any kind of motorised transport.
Avec le sport pour se déplacer et sans jamais utiliser d'engins motorisés. Dans le Grand Nord canadien au début du siècle,
in Canada at the turn of the century, people used kayaks to get around, but didn't consider it to be a sport. When you do the Raid Gauloise, it's the same. When you do an activity, it's all about getting to a point of doing it in the most logical way possible. If there's a river, that you use either a raft or a kayak. Just depends. If there's a mountain you have to climb, if you've got horses, you're going to use them. If there are paths, you can use a mountain bike. It's always about the challenge of crossing a country or crossing a region. We used whatever means possible, but never a motor, never motorised transport. This year, in Vietnam, the teams aren't going to be stopped by technical difficulties. For the first time, we're asking them to keep moving forwards the whole time, day and night. It's going to have many various activities, so they're going to change very often. It's going to involve mountain biking, then getting down a river in a kayak, then getting out of the boat doing some trekking, and afterwards some caving, so things are going to change very quickly. But in contrast, the rivers are very easy here.
There
are 7 people in a team, 2 to provide support, finding their way to the others 2 or 3 times during the raid, to resupply them with food, change equipment, and so on. There are 5 people on the course. They're mixed teams. It's obligatory to have at least 1 guy and 1 girl in each team. This year there are 51 teams in the raid. I think that around 40 teams will finish this year because it's not technically difficult. And if people manage their efforts correctly, especially in terms of navigation and don't get lost, I think that about 70% will make it.
Je pense qu'il y aura au moins 70% des équipes à l'arrivée.
Salut au Vietnam! Ciao!
This year, 51 teams will make their way to Vietnam to compete in the 11th raid. We caught up with Team German for Salomon before they left.
I'm Thomas Ruck,
And I'm Sabine Gruber.
and we're lining up for the raid with German for Solomon team. And this is Beppo. I'm Mike Günther, and I'm the captain of German adventure racing team German for Salomon. And I'm a Berliner. You can only train for a race by doing a race. You can't say, I'll train for 10 days in one go. What you need is a great deal of logistics, and you need a reason. And the only reason for running for 10 days is a race.
Der einzige Grund, 10 Tage eine Strecke zu machen, ist ein Rennen.
You can't really talk about the goals beforehand. After all, it's an adventure race. You don't know what's coming. You know roughly, and you can sort of prepare yourself. You can work out strategies. But you'll be surprised in terms of the course, the different difficulties, the weather. There are lots of components where you can't say you're going to win or you're going to whatever. But I think we'll do a good race, and judging from our performance from the last few years, we should be able to achieve a good place somewhere in the middle.
Wo man nicht sagen kann, man wird gewinnen, man wird, was weiß ich. Ich denke aber, dass wir ein gutes Rennen machen werden, und wenn ich das aus den letzten Jahren einschätze, wird das ein Platz im Mittelfeld sein.
Wir sehen uns in Vietnam.
Team German for Salomon arrive safely in Hanoi and make their final preparations. Let's meet the last two team members.
My name is Shimon Zimmermann.
My name is Sven Günther, and I come from Germany. I'm competing for the team Deutschland German for Solomon.
It was my dream to once to ride this race.
I'm in the team together with my elder brother, Mike. He's the team captain. For years we played different sports with each other, but at some point we both hit on the idea of adventure sport and said, okay, that's the event we can both do together, which we've been doing for 5 years.
Das ist das Event, was wir zusammen machen können, und wir machen jetzt seit 5 Jahren zusammen diesen Abenteuerrennsport.
This is the world's first adventure race, and I think the most prestigious adventure race among the adventure racers.
Wir starten hier, zu finishen.
We're starting with the goal of finishing. We won't win. We won't make 3rd or 5th. But as long as we get a reasonable result and don't pick up any injuries or make any other mistakes, then that will be an achievement in itself.
Dann denke ich, sind wir zu einer soliden Leistung in der Lage.
I know that we are not winning team, but we came here just to finish the race, and I think that 90% of team came here just to finish this race.
In order to finish, you need to be allowed to start.
It's not good, this one.
Mistake number 1, Shimon has forgotten his kayak helmet and the judges don't like his alternative.
Because we were running around and that's the best we could find.
No chance we can accept this one.
But if we have a simple plastic helm on top of that one, you will accept it?
You have to come back tonight?
Tomorrow.
No, tonight?
They've got just a few hours to find a better one.
This one is good, you know.
The Raid Gauloise competitors and crew alike are welcomed by the province and wished well with the task that they have before them. This is the final countdown. For the next 1,000 kilometers from Bakhar to Katbar, it's all mud, sweat and gears. And tears.
Wait.
170 k's each day. It sounds impossible, so I'd say it will take at least 8 days.
After 2 years of preparation for many of the teams, the competitors make for the start of the 11th Raid Gauloise. The dreaming is over, now the proof is in the pedalling.
Zehn Tage von meinem Leben, ja, da ging es rauf und runter. Am Anfang, am Start.
10 days of my life. That's what it was all about. The finish line was so far away that I think you can't allow yourself to think about how far it is. You can't think about the future, you just have to let it come to you.
Und sich irgendwelche Vorstellungen machen, was auf einen zukommen wird, sondern man muss sich einfach auf sich zukommen lassen.
51 teams from all over the world, all of different abilities. The best hope to complete the course in 6 days. Some will never finish. But how were the Germans finding it?
In these high temperatures, running is very tough. We've done relatively little for the last few days, and we're in the height of summer. Starting off at such a pace is extremely hard work. I think we'll get used to it though. On the whole, I feel we got through the first bit pretty well.
Checkpoints are a good place for teams to take a breather and prepare for the coming stage. Nor does your average raider, wherever they're from. Unless they have to.
When it rains for 1 or 2 hours, and it rains very hard. You can't talk, the wind stops you in your tracks. It's so heavy it's like taking a shower with your clothes on.
We found ourselves up a mountain in a squall, in a deluge. In 3 minutes there was 50 centimetres of water. The path turns into rivers. It was incredible.
By the time Intersport arrived, it looked as though the Brazilians, French and Finnish already gathered would finally be allowed to cross.
The first part of the journey yesterday was good. There was a storm, so we decided to stop. We rested and ate for 2 or 3 hours.
Pour manger, dormir un peu. Donc on s'est arrêté 3 heures et des poussières. Donc on a dormi 2 heures, un peu plus de 2 heures.
Salut.
Là. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
It's only day 2, and how you say, anything can happen. Our German friends have been taking it a little easier.
Well, it's a long way. We've had our share of problems. I think it was a section we could have really enjoyed, but it was hard on our legs. It was hard and our legs are hurting. I suppose everyone who's come through this section has had problems. Well, despite that, it was great. Everyone has moments of weakness, but for me it was the day before yesterday, in the morning. They soon pass. We started the race at quite a fast speed, but had a string of problems because of the heat, so we had to slow down the pace a bit.
After 12 hours in the race, I felt very, very bad. I get some cramps in my leg muscles, so usually I know that it's a bad sign, because when you get cramps, it is going to be worse and worse.
It's very hard when you're racing, carrying a 15-kilogram pack, and you're having to keep yourself covered up from the sun. You sweat so much, you have to drink between 10 to 15 litres of water a day.
I was the new one in the team, and I didn't want to say, okay, let's stop. I cannot keep going, because I was kind of shame asking a team to stop because of me, because I thought that I'm well prepared and I will be able to follow the tempo. So I followed this with the pain in legs, but next day I recovered.
You have to get on top of the stresses and the strains that the race places on you. If a problem gets too serious, whether it's due to physical or mental pressure, you have to turn to the team for support.
Somewhere, way back in the pack, the Germans were also having fun on their bicycles. Until...
driver, like, according to the rules, and it was very dangerous. I almost get killed. The worst thing happened like third day, when we started at the biking section, and I fell from a bike. I bumped into the guy in front of me. I make like flip, and I injured both knees. They were very bad injured. I had a pain last like to the end of the race. I still have pain, especially when biking and when walking downhill. A few times we had to go slowly because of me. We had to slow down because I couldn't walk fast.
Okay, on the road again. We'll go one behind the other. But attention, Simon. Attention. Road train, attention.
As dusk fell on day 3, after 380 kilometres, Intersport strategy seemed to be paying off. The next step was to traverse a ravine on a Tyrolean slide. People from 8 teams have so far dropped out. Many teams, and another 27 hours later, the Germans got to the Tyrolean slide. What was taking them so long?
We're not here to take a stroll. We're here to represent our country and to do it well.
As a team, we had some good time too. For me, it was kind of hard because they always spoke German.
Es war nicht einfach.
It wasn't easy. Above all, at the start, if we made a decision in German, sometimes we forgot that we had to translate it into English so that Simon would know what was going on.
Noch übersetzen zu müssen und Simon dementsprechend zu informieren.
So in certain times I couldn't say and explain even on English because they were tired, I was tired. And sometimes it's normal they will forget to tell me the schedule. For example, now we stop and they'll just lay down and sleep. And I didn't know if we're going to sleep 5 minutes or 2 hours. So sometimes I will stay awake and just a few times I just lost good resting time.
Well, if it's rest the Germans want, there's some waiting for them a long way ahead. All this lounging around and the Finnish team, Lapin Kulta, have been catching up. However, it didn't look as though they would be much of a threat for a while. As dusk fell, they realized that rest is a really important thing.
The food are very bad, huh?
The most difficult thing is sleep. In the middle of the raid, about 3 or 4 days in, there are moments.
Tips and the other French team and Nokia and all those guys, they'll get into TA2, seeing that we've been gone for 3 hours and realise that they're at least maybe 6 hours behind and they just mentally lose it.
10 teams have fallen out of the ranking. Could this be one raid too far for Intersport? And can Paris keep going with their seemingly superhuman strength?
That was some drama.
The leading teams in the raid Gauloise had covered an incredible 500 kilometres of staggeringly beautiful countryside and made it to Barbet Lake. Team Nokia from Finland and Frenchman Ertips are still contenders for the lead, with French team VSD Ida just in front. But it's the American contingent Parallax that are at the head of the field.
That native raft was awesome. It was like a big bed, big floating bed. Just sleeping it up. It was awesome. Everyone's now having to sleep, and so the playing field is a little bit more even. So to make up the time deficit later, the race becomes, I think it gets harder and harder. I mean, none of us are sitting back thinking anything's in the bag.
Sort of feel as if the race is almost over, even though I know it's a long, hard lead coming up, and that's probably the thing that poses the biggest risk. If you can get to the sea kayak with everyone's feet intact, well, short of a shark chewing your arm off, you should get to the finish all right.
Meanwhile, out on the course, things are getting very tough for the rest of the competitors.
For the last 2 hours while we were walking, we were all falling asleep. And I mean, like, Adrian practically fell over a couple of times. We were in bad shape.
In fact, 10 teams are now out of the raid through one or more of their team members getting sick. But for reasons only known to themselves, most of these teams are still continuing in groups of 4. So we've only had 2 teams abandon the raid completely, Team Spee and Team Oak Ridge.
At the moment I'm having stomach cramps and diarrhea, but it will pass.
Where does it hurt? The eyes, yeah, from all the not sleeping. First of all, the soles of the feet, they burn like hell, and wet trousers chafe your legs and thighs. You feel it all over your body at one time or another.
Here we go again.
We had lots of problems with blisters, often because your feet were wet due to having to go through water. It's a problem. You can't run for very long with wet feet without getting blisters. You have to deal with that. Some tolerate it one way, and others in another.
Muss man halt managen und der eine verträgt es so, der andere verträgt es so.
Yeah, when I got blisters, it was a new feeling for me. I had never had blisters like that on my feet before. That was the biggest pain of all. My feet had swollen up pretty badly, so I could hardly get them in my cycling shoes.
Und ja, die Füße, die waren eben auch richtig dick angeschwollen. Ich kam kaum in die Radschuhe rein.
So richtig schmerzhaft.
It's really painful. Of course, if you have a blister when you're racing, you've got to burst it, and then it's quite difficult to stay relaxed when you're running afterwards. I've had loads of blisters in my time. I know that the pain eventually goes away and you cramp up, but if you start to run in a slightly different way because of the blister, then the result's even worse. That's why you just have to carry on through the pain, running normally, just like your body's used to doing. At some point the pain will go away again.
Gary's just kind of wobbly on the patties. So We're all right now.
Last night, it was tough, long and slow. We were really trying to hold our pace to maintain our lead, and we hammered Gary into the ground. It was too fast of a pace. We just went and just fought our way through that bamboo and cliffs, and we were just dead. So by the time we slept, he was already dehydrated, heat exhaustion. It was really bad, and now we've really suffered from it. We've having just to survive to get to this checkpoint. His temperature wouldn't come down for the last 12 hours. I mean that's really good. You can go into heat stroke. So we're concerned. So we just dunked him in the river and let him sit in the river, and we're hoping that some rest here. We might have to let him sleep all day. I don't know. We're hoping not, but that's the initial plan right now. We went from thinking, okay, we have a good shot to do really well, to we might not even finish. But I guess that's the beauty of the raid Gauloise.
It certainly is. Where once they were 7 hours in front, now Parallax have only a couple of hours lead. A lead which is diminishing at every step. With 300 kilometers left in the raid, the struggling Americans need to get well soon if they're to hold off the threat from Team Ertip's, Nokia and Ida. It wasn't just Intersport that was starting to enjoy themselves. German for Salomon realized what they were missing out on and started to have fun. The sun was out, they were in 25th place. They still had all their 5 team members. They were on track for completing the raid Gauloise. The worst of the trekking was behind them. Life was good.
Come on, young boy. Heya, heya, Nokia, heya, heya.
We owe you a favor. And assistant point. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, cappuccino. Original Italian.
It was a good time to get on the river because we've been trekking and biking for 2 days, and at last we can use our arms.
Yesterday we had a very tough time in the jungles, and today will be a nice day. I think it was assistant point number 2. It was more than half of the race, and everything is getting easier and easier. The last 3 days were really like a family trip.
Ist in Vietnam.
Bye-bye.
It's dawn, day 7, and 2 teams have been spotted out in Halong Bay. After racing across 1,000 kilometers of the most grueling terrain Vietnam could throw at them, the leading team is approaching the finish line on the island of Cat Ba, and with it, the ultimate prize in adventure racing. And the leading team is... it's a French team. It's Ida, who played a tactical race, keeping behind the lead teams throughout the raid, and only taking over the lead as they started paddling their sea kayaks. A magnificent victory.
In my head, I was never really sure whether we were truly first. It wasn't until crossing the finish line that we really knew.
J'étais heureuse au fond de moi, mais je me disais pas encore on est premier. C'est vraiment quand la ligne est passée où j'ai savouré la première place.
La dernière nuit en kayak, nous n'avons pas dormi parce que
We didn't sleep during the last kayaking section because we didn't know how far ahead we were of the next team. It was very, very hard doing such a leg. 100 kilometers kayaking without sleep is very hard, but it was a great atmosphere.
And they were right not to sleep, as just 3 hours behind them were the Finnish team Nokia.
Yeah, it was very good and a very nice course. Very friendly people. It was nice to see.
In bronze medal position came another French team, Tips. "10 days, 9 hours and 51 minutes after setting out from Cap Bar, the German team finally makes the finish line.
We were pedaling for some 15 hours, then after that we got in a storm and we had some pretty tough time. Our girl, she got sick. We're finished. Definitely finished.
From the second to last checkpoint, the swell wasn't enormous, but nevertheless we were having problems. But then the waves just got worse and worse. At the last checkpoint we took around an hour's break to try and rejuvenate her, but for the rest of it we just had to keep paddling. And she was suffering really quite badly.
Yes, the special day had arrived on a special day. It was Sabine's birthday.
When we left the last assistant point, I said to Mike, let's try and arrive on her birthday. It's quite a special event, finishing a raid like that on someone's birthday.
Ein ganz besonderes Ereignis, ein Raid zu finishen am Geburtstag.
Schönes Geburtstagsgeschenk.
A great birthday present. But the feeling I had at that moment wasn't so great.
Das Gefühl in dem Moment war nicht so toll.
Aber so ist das Rennen.
That's the Raid Gauloise. Making the line on her birthday and having a few difficulties towards the end. Surprises like that happen more or less every day you race.
And as they say, that was that. The most daring race in the world over for another year. Oh well, there's always next time. Au revoir.
Our highest expected result was to finish the race with 5 people and end the race the same way as we started, as a team. The finish line is always pretty unspectacular, but when you know what's gone before it, it's always pretty special.
Videli od vrata, pravili su puške, igrali se rata, zamagli se nebo nad decom u travi, uče prava puška i rat hoće pravi da ostanu deca kada rat su sreli, nisu više mogli ili nisu hteli. Prava puška puca, pravi oganj žeže, pobegla bi deca, al ljudi ne beže. Nek nas se te ove slike na tu decu i te đake što su mali za vojnike, a veliki